Speaking of the Pro Chess League, do you think that will ever bloom into something
It's
bigger?
coming back. It's coming back next year.
I know it's coming back, and I know there have been some discussions amongst teams and sponsoring like chess as an esports, but do you think it's promising is my question.
I hope so. I mean, I was a bit disappointed because I heard rumors that it would, esports companies would start coming in and not just for the content creators, but also for the professional chess players. And I heard that Maxime Vachier-Lagrave had a lot of interest from a French company, and I was told that maybe some companies would be interested in other players as well, but it never really developed into anything. I don't know if that's because things just move very slowly, and maybe it will next year. And I think that chess.com wanted to do something this year, and they ended up coming up with a big project, which was the Rapid Chess Championship and the Global Chess Championship and all that. But they didn't end up making like this big esports league. And it's going to come back as a Pro Chess League, which is a great event, but not in the scope that I guess we were hoping for. But I hope so. That would be very cool. I mean, it's really up to the companies, right?
Mm-hmm. Do you think it makes sense, though?
Yeah, why not?
For who?
As for chess to be an esport?
We need more personalities.
You mean why not have it over the board?
Yeah, why not have it over the board? Or you already have so many team events. Can you really build loyalty around bringing different chess players to esports teams that maybe they're not from that city or don't have an affiliation with?
Yeah, I think that is one of the problems, is that chess players tend to concentrate in cities very specifically. Like maybe it's Moscow, now it's St. Louis, or very often it's New York, right? But you wouldn't have equally strong teams based on regions.
Right.
Yeah, chess is also such a solo sport. Like for video games, you're literally playing with a group of 4 people. But it's really hard to build that type of fan love when, you need more to bond a team over than just, you're from the same city, I feel like.
But I mean, if you lose and it affects your team's score.
Yeah, but it's different when you're like playing a video game on a team.
Sure, when you're cooperating on the same game.
I find this esports conversation very interesting. I don't follow much of esports and video games, so.
Would you require to have the players in the same place?
I don't think that would make sense because, I mean, at the start, you just need it to not be structurally difficult or it's never going to happen. And so I think if there's any esports teams that would form a league, they would just try to get the most entertaining plus top talent on their roster, and that's what would help the most. And then it would just be, will their esports team adopt their chess team as part of it?
I think there were talks, actually.
No, there were talks, for sure.
Or an Indian Super
in general
League.
there were.
Yeah.
But I think it would be interesting to have it maybe by country.
That's true, yeah.
Like an Olympiad.
Because that's what.
But if it's a country then and it's not backed by an esports team, then you kind of lose the money that would come in supporting.
But why wouldn't an esports team back a group of players from a country?
I think it's more complicated. I think esports teams want to be able to build a fandom to their fans and have it integrated as part of like the roster of esports that they already watch and be able to sell that to sponsors. And I think it's harder to do when it's, hey, like we're supporting this country. It's much easier to be like, we're in Team Optic right now. This is the Optic chess team. That's just much better for branding.
Mm-hmm. So they don't want to make it about, let's say, India or the United States. They want to make it about
themselves.
Interesting. And could they make some sort of
and embed them into the current fan base too? Could
they have like a mix of players that represent their team but from a specific country? So like this is the Optics team all coming from India. Optics team all coming from India or wherever it is.
That's a mixture of branding.
Once they build the Optic
I think it just would be not what their priorities are, because if you think of what drives the esports team, it's just getting the best players overall. You want to win championships, and then 2, it's personalities. And I'm not saying that like a specific country won't have that, but it's much easier to mix and match. Yeah.
Would you have any rating cap rules, or would you just try to get the best players and whoever has, I don't know, the best branding, the best, the most money, I guess?
I mean, ideally, no rating cap makes it the best, right?
I think so.
But of course, you might have teams that just completely destroy, and if it's lopsided, then it's less fun to watch someone who's just dominating.
Especially if they get those players contracted in for a few years, and then you have a few
Yeah.
years of complete domination by any specific esports
Yeah,
team.
exactly.
And
Um,
chess is not yet established as a team sport as much
Right.
as, let's say, Counter-Strike. Everybody
of course. And
plays
it
right?
makes sense on Andrea's point. You're not working with people on the specific game, even if it impacts the team.
I think the main reason chess is, and I don't know much about this, but chess is behind in the esports industry is just because there's not enough money in chess. Like video games, it's like 20 years ahead of chess. And if you think of like the tournaments that gamers are competing in, the prize funds are huge. That's why like actually making a team, like they're making a living just playing online video games all the time. But if you're playing just online chess tournaments, it's already hard to make a living playing in real life chess tournaments. Imagine online, like there's even a smaller pool of tournaments. So I think it's just there's not enough money in chess.
But I think the money in esports is also tied into viewership.
Yeah,
And that was the
for
reason
sure.
why now people are open to it, whereas if you would have looked 3 years ago, they weren't.
Yeah.
So you've kind of seen that huge shift.
Yeah.
Which is why, like, if PCL were to start off again and it was starting to get really good viewership, that could really spark desires for a league.
Just spitballing, and to go off a bit on your point, and this is a format that I really enjoyed watching, but I've only seen it in one specific place, and it's a very informal event done by the St. Louis Chess Club, and they're not trying to make money. They just do things for fun. And the event was you have top players who make 5 moves and alternate, and you have one amateur in that case.
Oh, interesting.
But that would make it a team sport, to
Yeah.
go off your point. If you had, let's say, Magnus and Ding and Jan, and they alternate 5 moves, and you might think they're going to play the same, they're going to have the same plans and think of the same ideas, but in reality, top players all, like, they don't have any idea what the fuck their last guy was doing. Like, you made this move, and I've seen this in action.
Yeah.
And Hikaru sees Mamadou made a move, and he's like, what
Yeah.
what was that? What am I supposed to do now? And it is a very entertaining format. I don't know if it
Yeah.
would ever take off, but as a one-off idea, maybe.
I would watch that as a stream. As an esport, I think the issue is when people think esport, they think highest caliber gameplay, and I think any kind of impurity where you're not getting that kind of ruins it.
But I
Yeah.
think the format
But
is
as
great.
a format, as a stream, that would be super fun.
Like just more entertaining than Hand and Brain. I like it.
Because
It'd
I
be
mean,
cool to
same
see
how
more
you have
videos.
stuff like chess boxing. It's just great content. So it's a one-off. Getting a team of people who are
Yep.
doing moves sounds really fun to watch, especially with a prize pool or people training together.
Yeah, you're probably right that it seems a bit like a diversion, not like a serious thing.
How do you turn the competitive aspect on for
No,
that
but they
type
would,
of
I mean,
event?
with money, the top players will be competitive. Even without money, a guy like Magnus will always be competitive. But you put money in the mix, and of course, everyone gets competitive. But yeah,
No, I think it would still be competitive. I just think it wouldn't work perfectly as an esport league.
Mhm.
Another problem with chess, I feel, is that we don't have that branding as a sport. Like, you guys got signed as content creators, not
Yep.
as chess players, right?
Yeah.
Hikaru also content creator, not a
Yeah.
chess player necessarily. So how do we brand chess as a standalone esport, pretty much? That's
Right.
the question. And I think that's what chess.com is trying to
Trying to
answer.
do, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm not a marketing guy. I leave it to them.
Yeah.
Hopefully they make the inroads into that.